All right. Lipids. Carbohydrates done, proteins done, lipids. Carbohydrate is it's a food source. Right? We use that food basically for energy. Proteins not for energy. Lipids for energy. Okay, lipids for energy. Well, speaking of lipids, right? We have three types. We have three types of lipids: triglycerides, phospholipids, and sterols. So those are the three lipid types that we are talking about: triglycerides, phospholipids, and sterols. And remember, lipids is very much easier than carbohydrate proteins. It's a very simple structure, right? That is because this is not a polymer. Right. Triglycerides. That is the first one. We know about fats and oils, right? Fat and oil, very common thing. We know about that. So fats and oil both are coming under the category of triglycerides. Well, so basically it is coming from food, and fat is stored in the body, and when necessary, it is dissolved and used as an energy source. Right. Well, when it comes to triglycerides, the structure, speaking of the chemical structure of a triglyceride, that comprises with three fatty acids and molecule called glycerol. We'll talk about those two. The glycerol molecule, one glycerol molecule, and three fatty acid molecules. Three. So altogether four molecules. We'll see the structure. Right. Let's talk about fatty acid first. Right. So this is the structure, general structure of any fatty acid. It's easy to remember. One side is the carboxylic group, C double bond O OH group, carboxylic group. We met carboxylic group in proteins as well. Remember, in the proteins also we had a carboxylic group, and the other side we had an NH2 group. Right. So here we have a carboxylic group. And the other side, we have a CH3 group. We call it methyl M. Right. In any fatty acid, we have these two. All right. One side must be carboxylic acid group. The other side must be a CH3 group. And length of the carbon chain in between, it could be. Two ends must be constant. All right. Right. Just have a look at this diagram. Right. Well, like I said, one glycerol molecule reacts with three fatty acid molecules to form triglyceride molecule. And this is the triglyceride molecule. All right. So this part is coming from the glycerol molecule. That's one. And this other shaded area, these three boxes, those three are coming from three fatty acids. So, like I said, fatty acid one end must be carboxylic acid. That is this part. The other end must be CH3. And it doesn't have to be same three fatty acids. It could be same, but it could be different also. And when you look at this, CH3 is a common thing, so it is a must, it is there. And in between, there can be carbon-carbon single bonds. There can be carbon-carbon double bonds. And there can be more than one double bonds, right? So the middle part could be empty. It's not a problem. Right? So this is the general structure of fatty acid. I'm sorry, triglyceride. So The two sides are constant, no? One side is C double H and the other side is CH3. That never changes. The middle part changes. So the middle part, length changes. It could be 1 to 2 carbon atoms, 10, 15 carbon atoms, a lot of carbon atoms. The middle part can change. So the chain length is going to be different from one fatty acid to another fatty acid. Right. In that case, when the length changes, the absorption capacity also changes. Right? When the chain becomes longer and longer and longer, it's difficult to be absorbed into the body. That is there. Right. And there's another thing called saturation. I will be talking in detail about that. Right? Saturation. So depending on that fact, actually that factor, the chemical structure changes and the storage method is going to be changed and the properties are going to be changed. Health-wise, how it is going to affect to our health, that also changes. Right. So when it comes to fatty acid, those are the two factors that we consider. The length of the chain and the saturation part. Saturation I will explain in detail. Right. Okay, look at this. Length of the carbon chain. This is some random fatty acid. All right. One side, like I said, C double bond OH, carboxylic acid. Other side also is constant, which is methyl group. That doesn't change. And the middle part, we have a lone carbon chain. Right? Now, this is actually stearic acid. Stearic acid. You might have heard some perhaps, okay? Stearic acid. This has in total, we have 18 carbons. The reason for us to say that this is a saturated fatty acid, we have only carbon-carbon single bonds. We don't have any carbon-carbon double bond here. We have a double bond here, but it is between carbon and oxygen, not between carbon and carbon. Right? So this term saturated we are using for us to talk about the situation where we don't have carbon-carbon double bonds, we have only carbon-carbon single bonds. Right. Well, this is the displayed formula. Okay, this is the displayed formula of stearic acid. Now here, this is some simplified formula. There we show only the carbon skeleton. We show only the carbon skeleton. We don't know all the bonds. Right? Doesn't mean that we don't have the bonds here. Like this part is there, and then in the very next carbon atom right here, we have two hydrogens. But that we don't know here. Because this is a simplified structure. We call it skeletal formula. We show the carbon skeleton only. Okay. Right. That is stearic acid. Okay. Saturated. When it comes to saturated and unsaturated, we concerned about having carbon-carbon double bonds. You know, when we don't have carbon-carbon double bonds, carbon is having, the carbon atoms are having the maximum possible number of hydrogen atoms. It is saturated with hydrogens. But when we have CC double bonds, it is not saturated because it doesn't have the maximum possible number of hydrogens. If you break that CC double bond, then we can introduce more hydrogens. But so saturated fat, it has 3 saturated fatty acids, right? And the glycerol molecule. No double bond, no CC double bonds. Remember, the saturated fatty acids, the physical state of that is a solid, right? As an example, butter. Butter is solid, right? Saturated ones are solids at room temperature. That means we have only carbon-carbon single bonds. Now let's come to the other version. Saturated means having carbon-carbon single bonds. Unsaturated, and because of saturated situation, we have the maximum possible number of hydrogens. Unsaturated means we have carbon-carbon double bonds. In addition to carbon-carbon single bonds, we have carbon-carbon double bonds as well. Right? So having carbon-carbon single bonds along with the double bond doesn't make it saturated. At least if we have at least one CC double bond, one double bond, one carbon-carbon double bond, that is coming under the category of unsaturated. Okay? CC double bond. So number of CC double bonds, right? It could be one CC double bond, right? Or it may be more than one CC double bond, right? If we have just one CC double bond, we say it's monounsaturated fatty acids. Monounsaturated fatty acids. If we have more than one CC double bond, right, we call it polyunsaturated fatty acids. So we have monounsaturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids according to the number of double bonds present. Remember, saturated version, that is solid under the room temperature. Unsaturated ones, they are liquid at room temperature. They are liquid at room temperature. So physically, that is what we see. Right, sunflower oil, soybean, right? So yeah, liquids, we know that. Clear, right? Yeah. Look at this. The first one, 18 carbons. That has only one CC double bond in the entire chain. I want one CC double bond. That is monounsaturated. Monounsaturated. The other one, linoleic acid. That is also having 18 carbons if you count and see it. Yes. Right. Okay, linoleic acid. That also has 18 carbons. But it has more than one CC double bond. Right. That is polyunsaturated. Okay. Remember, number of CC double bonds is immaterial. One or maybe more than one. But remember, do you notice that one corner, the right side corner, that is C double bond OH, carboxylic acid group, that remains unchanged. Must be there. And left corner, right? Left corner is a CH3 group. That is also there. Right? This CH3 group is important because now in the future slides, we are talking about the omega number, right? So those stuff. Right. Okay. Here I'm showing this chart so that you can understand that the composition of saturated fats, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, right? In certain stuff, coconut oil, butter, right? Right, so familiar with coconut oil now? Coconut oil. We have a huge amount of saturated fat. That means CC single bonds. Right. Butter, less than that. Right. When it comes to, like you see, olive oil, less amount of saturated fat. Right. So the composition changes from substance to substance. That is for you to have an idea about the composition of these saturated, unsaturated, mono-unsaturated, poly-unsaturated, that situation. Right. We are talking about unsaturated fats. That is having in the fatty acid, we have carbon double bond. When it comes to that situation, depending on the location of the carbon double bond, the properties are going to be changed. Right? So then we can have the carbon double bond anywhere between one corner carboxylic acid group, COOH group, other side CH3. So the double bond could be anywhere. But depending on the location of the double bond, properties change. Right? Properties change. So, so that we can deal with it easily, we have a labeling system, naming system, which we call omega number. Right? I guess you're familiar with these two terms, omega 3, omega 6. Are you? Yes, right. Omega number. Well, omega number, that is the location we count from the CH3 side. You know that. CH3, CH2, CH double bond, CH, CH2, C double bond, O, OH. Location of the double bond is right here. We count from the CH3 side. 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. And that is the location of the double bond from the methyl group side. All right. So we have omega 3, we have omega 6. Doesn't mean that that is 3 and 6 are only the locations where we can have the double bond. No, it could be at any place. So mainly health-wise, right? Basically, when it comes to the location of the double bond, we find these two locations mainly in food and in supplements, right? Omega 3, omega 6. That we count from the methyl group side. Normally, if you remember organic chemistry, we used to give the least number to the carboxylic acid group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But that is in organic nomenclature. Medical wise, because this is a compulsory thing to be present in a fatty acid. හරිද? ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන් තියෙන එකක්. ඒ නිසා ඒක ලොකු එකක් නෙමෙයි. So then that is why medically we count this from starting from the CH3 side to find out where that location, where is the location of the double. Right. So omega 3 means it's at the third carbon, double bond is at the third carbon level. Omega 6 means double bond is at the sixth carbon atom. That's how it happens. Here, look at this. Right. The top one, linoleic acid. It is omega 3. Why? The double bond is at the third carbon atom from the CH3 side. 1, 2, 3. From the methylene, from the CH3. Omega 3. Linoleic acid, same thing. Omega 6 version. In that case, the location of the double bond is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth carbon atom. Okay, that is omega 6. At the same time, you would have already noticed that we have the carboxylic acid end unchanged. So this is about the naming system of fatty acids according to the location of the double bond starting from the CH3 side. Clear, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, just imagine now if I supply a hydrogen molecule, if I supply a hydrogen molecule, what can happen? CH3, CH2, double bond is broken. Double bond is broken. This hydrogen is coming here, becomes CH2, CH1 becomes CH2. The other hydrogen is coming here, CH just 1 becomes CH2, right? So both the hydrogens are coming in, right? This type of reactions are called as addition reactions. Addition reactions. Remember, there are only two types of reactions. One is in general. One is addition reactions. The other one is substitution reactions. In substitution reaction, what is happening? As the name implies, substitution. One is coming, one is going. Right? The chlorine atom comes and existing hydrogen goes. Substitution. Amber came, vanilla went. Substitution. Right. So then this is not something like that. It is not substitution. In addition to the existing total. Right? මේ hydrogen එකක් මෙතෙන්ට ආවා. එකක් මෙතෙන්ට අනිත් එක. හරිද? That is addition. That is addition. So in that case, we can supply hydrogen to do that. We can supply hydrogen to do that. Since it is a reaction with hydrogen, we call that reaction as hydrogenation. Remember, hydrogenation and hydration are two different things. This is hydrogenation, not hydration, hydrogenation. That is reaction with hydrogen. Right. Then, like I showed there, double bond is broken. Two hydrogens are coming onto the two carbon atoms, which are holding the double bond. Got it? Right. Well, we know that when we don't have the double bonds, when we have the double bonds unsaturated, they are in the liquid form. Right? And saturated, no double bonds, we have single bonds only solid. Right? Then the fatty acids, which are having double bonds, when we do hydrogenation reaction for them, finally, they become solid. Right? That is because saturated, they are solid. I have given examples here in the food industry, margarine that is used and the peanut butter, right? So those are the industries where hydrogenation is being used. This is a reaction which I was talking about. Before the reaction, after the reaction. Before the reaction, now this is a polyunsaturated fatty acid. Why unsaturated? Having carbon double bonds. Unsaturated. Why polyunsaturated? Because we have more than one CC double bond. Polyunsaturated. Right. Okay. That reacts with hydrogen when we supply hydrogen. Then what is happening? Entire, like nothing happens to the length of the carbon chain. Nothing happens to the existing number of hydrogens. In addition to the existing number of hydrogens, new hydrogens are coming in. So that is why now there is no double bond over here. There is no double bond over here. So this is exactly what happens when a fatty acid, an unsaturated, maybe monounsaturated, maybe polyunsaturated, whatever, both the categories are treated in the same way. They are going to be hydrogenated, that means reaction with hydrogen and producing a saturated fatty acid. Means having carbon-carbon single bonds only. No carbon-carbon double bonds. Clear, right? Oh, nice tattoo. Because like after A levels, ഇത് പറയാം. Time here. Variance. Correct. Itu ID ini. Itu ID ini. Itu I fresh, I go like that. Oke, nih mau mati ke kelas ya, kemudian nih pengen gue juga nih, chemistry ya, gitu. Pada matanya last year, chemistry වලට පස්සේ තිබ්බ පරීක්ෂය කත ඒක නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන් අන්තිම එකද තියෙන්නේ දවසේ chemistry වලට පස්සේ තිබ්බ ඉංග්‍රීසි ඒක homework හරිද ඒ homework උත් පොඩි පොඩි ඕනේ කියන හරියට ස්කීම්ස් තියෙනවා ඒක තාම දිගයි දැන් කල්ටි homework කරලා නැහැ ඒක උලා ඉතර යනවා ඕවර් කතා වෙනවා homework කරලා නැහැ Lihat gini ya, ini kan tanggal 5 April. Itu Sunday ini. Dan Sunday itu ya, baik. Ada boleh dah, ini Sunday. Ini Sunday namanya itu ibu nih. Kita semua hari Sunday itu biasa subjek kan ya, hari lagi. Antinya mau hari mana itu pasti namanya di Thursday kan. Ada English homework තාම තියෙනවනේ. හරි හරි. අපි ඔය මීටින් වලදී ඔයගෙන කතා කරනවා නේද? Right. Okay. So saturated, unsaturated are introduced, and this mono unsaturated, polyunsaturated also that we know right now. And there's another thing that I need to talk about. That is about cis and trans. When it comes to fatty acids, this is not for saturated. Saturated we have cis is you know. So there's no cis trans for that. This cis and trans concept is those are not English, that is Latin, right? That which is why like it makes no sense to us like when we hear cis and trans. Okay, that doesn't matter. Well, cis and trans that is coming for double bond containing cell. That means for unsaturated ones. So let me introduce the concept first. Here we have a double bond. These are the two groups. I'm keeping the two groups right at here at the same place. And I'm in this case, I exchange. I take this CH3 up. I take this H down. Now what do you see? We have equal groups on the same side. Equal groups on the opposite side. That is in terms of hydrogen. Even in terms of methyl, CH3 group is on the same side, equal, and here equal groups that is in opposite side. Right? Equal groups on the same side, equal groups on the opposite side. If we have equal groups on the same side, we call it cis. If we have the equal groups on the opposite side, trans. So this is the cis and trans concept. This cis and trans concept is applied in fatty acids. Some are cis and some are trans. You know that. So cis and trans. Look at this. Right. Now, H and H, the equal groups. Those two equal groups, H and H, those are on the same side from the double bond. And same H and H, they are on the opposite side. So that is this fatty acid. This is trans fatty acid. Different. Right? Different. So this is how we apply that cis trans concept in fatty acids. Right? Right. So we extend our discussion into that. Basically, we have mono unsaturated, polyunsaturated, but if it is unsaturated, then some of them are cis versions, some are not. Okay, cholesterol. Right. Yes, a familiar term, isn't it so? Right, cholesterol. Right, when you see cholesterol, when you hear cholesterol, do you get a good feeling or a bad feeling? Bad feeling. How would you feeling? living. Cholesterol. Lalu check kerana. Right. Cholesterol. Check kerana ni. Right. So this is something important. We need that. But having too much of that, so that is not that good. So then we have to check. Right. So the cholesterol. Well, speaking of cholesterol. Right. Well, cholesterol. This is a a waxy substance, a fat-like substance. Cholesterol is present in every single cell in the body. Right? So cholesterol is a component. It has to be there. It is in the body, in all the cells. Well, why do we need cholesterol? Cholesterol, we know that when we expose to sunlight, we make vitamin D. At what time of the day? Any time? No, what time? Morning, yeah, morning. But do we really expose to sunlight in the morning? Is that actually happening in our day-to-day life, in our schedules? No, right? So that is not happening, which is why there is a problem like health records show that most of the people they have the vitamin D deficiency, right? Vitamin D deficiency. So then you have to take vitamin D as a supplement. Because according to our current lifestyle, it is not practical for us to expose to sunlight in the morning. Just imagine, according to the work that you have, do you really have time to be outside in the morning to expose to sunlight? Right. So that is something which is not happening. At your age, that is not a problem at all. But mark my words, that is going to be a problem when you are 45 වගේ වෙනකොට ඔය deficiency එක කියන්නේ දැන් අපි දැනට efficiency මොන හරි ඉපත් ඒක manage කරන් යනවා පොඩි. හැබැයි ඔය manage කරන් යන පුළුවන් limit එකකුත් තියෙනවා. එතනින් හරිය වැඩි බේර ගන්න බෑ. හරි? එතකොට 45 විතර වෙනකන් පුළුවන්. match එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි එතනින් එහාට efficiency tolerate කරගන්න බෑ. එතකොට vitamin D වගේම ගන්න වෙනවා. Right. Anyway, the reason that I came here because cholesterol is one which makes vitamin D. Right? And also, cholesterol another function is it helps to digest food. Right. And the other thing is, cholesterol is something that we don't have it. The body can make cholesterol. But even the cholesterol that we need for functioning the body, well, the body can make it. Right? Body can make cholesterol. Body can't make vitamin D without sunlight. So that is a different story. But cholesterol can be made. In addition to that, we have cholesterol sources as well. Animal sources, egg yolk, meat, right? So we have in food, from food also cholesterol is good. So basically, cholesterol is something which is present in every single cell in the body. And body is capable of making that. Right? And in addition to that, from food also that is coming. That is also there. Right. Now the problem of having high cholesterol in the blood. Cholesterol level එක high වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? පොඩි එකේ අපිට ඕන cholesterol ටික පොඩි එකේ හදා ගන්නවා. ඒක වෙනස්. ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි in addition to that, from outside we are taking food stuff which are not healthy. So we are talking about good cholesterol and bad cholesterol in the right? So we are taking cholesterol. Then when we take cholesterol, right, from food, then the cholesterol level in the blood increases. Right. අපි මුලින්ම කතා කරා cholesterol කියන්නේ අර wax three layer එකක් ඒ වගේ එකයි. ඒතකොට cholesterol ගොඩක් වැඩි වෙද්දි අර thickness එක වැඩි වෙනවා. හරි. thickness එක වැඩි. Then what happens? This cholesterol, the excess of cholesterol which is present in the blood right now because we have taken extra, right? That excess of cholesterol is going to react with and combine with other substances in the blood, right? Not the normal level. The moment we exceed the cholesterol level, then excess cholesterol is going to combine with the other substances present in the blood. And that forms a thick layer. Right. Now what is happening? That is going to deposit on the walls of arteries. Right. That is a problem. Then they are going to be blocked. Right? Then the artery, that's like, this huge kind of thing. So when whatever the thing, this is like, this is going to be like just like a paste inside the tube that is going to be deposited. So obviously the diameter increases. Right. So arteries are going to be blocked with cholesterol. Right? Not with cholesterol. Cholesterol combines with other substances in the body and in the blood. So those substances plus cholesterol, that newly formed substance, just like layer that is going to be deposited. Right. So finally, arteries become narrow. How it is high? Why the cholesterol is going to be high? We know that cholesterol is being made by the body. And we can't, now just imagine like we can't avoid certain food. We have to eat now. So cholesterol is coming. So then why the cholesterol level increases? Basically, that is because of like our unhealthy lifestyle, eating habits. Eating habits, that is a problem. It is coming from food. Now, when it comes to food, like, per day, just you can see how many times you depend on processed food, right? Processed food, or just normal fried and curry stuff. That's like normal food, no, the processed food, right? The shorties, those stuff, like we eat every day, isn't it? So every day we eat. Right. So then the cholesterol basically because of that deep fried processed food, so that increases the cholesterol. Okay, fine. So that's how the cholesterol level goes up. So here, when it comes to like unhealthy eating habits, saturated fat, it's found in meat, dairy products, chocolate, so baked goods and those stuff, and that is one type. And the other type that was in the other slide, right? Right. So other type. So that is it. Fried food and processed food. Well, so when it comes to cholesterol, you cholesterol. මට කියන්න ඇයි අන්ත එක දෙපැත්තෙන් ඔල්ට ගියාම නිදිමත අඩු වෙන්නේ? ඇයි ඉෆෙක්ටිව්නස් එක වෙන්නේ? අපේ heat sensors පොඩි එකේ තියෙන tank කීපයක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි හන්දෙක දෙගත්තේ. එතකොට දැන් ඊට පස්සේ දැන් කකුලේ ගත්තට පස්සේ මේ බුරුනේ මෙන්න මේ හරිය අර සියාටම heat sensors තියෙන දැන් කියන heat sensors වල වතුර ගෑවම පස්සේ එතනින් heat release කරන speed එක rate එක වැඩි. හරිද? අදා heat release එක. එතකොට අදා heat release එකෙන් එතන යන ඒක cooling effect අපිට අතර brain එක sense වෙනවා. මොකක් හරි පිටු feeling එකක් වෙනවා. දැන් අපිට දැන් පාර බෝම්බයක් ඔන්න නිදිපදින්ජේ කතා මීටර මේ හරිද? ඒ සිද්ධ වෙන මොකක් හරි change එක rapid. අන්න මේකෙන් අර cool turn එක rapid වුණාට පස්සේ දැන් slow cool වෙනවා. මොකද දැනෙන්නේ? හරි දැන් පාර rapid cool වෙනවා. අන්න දැන් අන්න brain එකේ මොකක් හරි issue එකක් කියලා අපිට බෝරින් වෙනවා නැහැ හරි. ඒකම එතන වෙන්නේ. ඒක කාන්ඩ් එක කියන්නේ ඒක එකක් විදිහට විතරයි. හරිද? මේ මනදිලා heat sensors. හරි ඉතින් අපි නිකමඩ දාලා බලන්න ටක් ගාලා ඒ ඉෆෙක්ට් එක දැනෙනවා. ඒක දැනෙන මට්ටමේ ඉෆෙක්ට් එකක්. හරිද? ඒක සාර මූලේ නේදුවට ඒවා ඉතර ඉෆෙක්ටිව් නැහැ. අපි දෙක ඉස්සෙල් අනිත් කරේ. අපි heat sensors. ඒක ඉෆෙක්ට් එක රැපිඩ් නින්ද අර මොලේ සිග්නල් එක මොකක් හරි අවුලක් කියන. ඒකයි ටෙස්ට් කරලා බලන්න යන්නේ. කාමයි. I can experiment කරලා බලන්න ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. තව ටිකක් නින්දේද කියලා බලන්න. එහෙනම් එතන ස්නායු ගන්න කෙනෙක් තෝරින් කරලා දිගට දාලා ප්‍රශ්නේ කැදී කියන්නේ. So, back to cholesterol. Right. Well, so when it comes to cholesterol, we have two types. One is LDL, low density, and the other one is HDL. Right. So LDL, that is, for general terms, we call it bad cholesterol. වැඩිපුරම මේ arteries වල deposit වෙලා එහෙම තියෙන ඒ ටික. දැන් cholesterol කියන එක important එකක් නෙවෙයි. Eat that, no, right? So that is a good one. So the one which is coming from deep fried food and processed food, that is bad cholesterol, right? So the good one is HDL, right? That is good. Well, so then what is happening is, most of the cases, if we have good exercises, right? Then most of the cases we have lack of exercises. If we have good exercises, definitely the cholesterol level goes down. This I'm talking about the bad cholesterol level. That is not going to be accumulated. If we have exercises, right? So if this cholesterol, if you constantly exercise, cholesterol doesn't go down, right? And for you to do exercises, don't be that it is a must to go to a gym. You have to make it. At least walk fast, right? Even though that means that is doing another part of the yeah, because class telling the people that they could that we have positive effective exercise. Exercise වෙන්න ඕනේ. lack of exercise තමයි නේද දැන් අපෝදෙන් කියන්නේ. ඕලෙන් ඒ ටික හදාන්නේ නැහනේ. හරිද? ඒකකොට දැන් අපි ඔයිට වඩා ග්‍රෝ වෙනකොට වයසින් වැඩි වෙද්දී cholesterol accumulate වෙලා නැති වෙන්නේ. arteries වල size එක පොඩි වෙලා නැති වෙන්නේ. නම් අපි මේ LDL accumulate වෙන එක නවත්ත ගන්න ඕනේ. slow down කරගන්න ඕනේ. So that is the best way is to exercise. The most of the modern people think that, okay, if you don't have a chance to go to a gym is only the place where you can exercise. That's how the OCDs think, but that is totally wrong. So gym is like, yes, okay, it's a push option, but that is not only the option. හරි ජිම් ගිහිල්ලා ප්‍රීමියර් සෙල්ෆි එකකුත් ගහලා ඒ ටික දාන්නවත් ඔක වැඩේ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ ටිකට වෙනම ඒක සෝෂල් මීඩියා වලට දාගෙන ෆොටෝස් ටිකක් වෙනම ගන්න. Plus daily at least walk, right? At least walk. ඒ කියන්නේ අර හිමීට නෙමෙයි. Like the moment you have the chance to walk, just imagine, okay, from here you have to go to parents and over there. මීටර් 150ක් විතර තියෙනවනේ. ඕක හයියෙන් යන්න. හරි is important. Right. So lack of exercises. That is one thing. The other thing, so because of lack of exercises, LDL increases. That's a bad cholesterol. That amount increases. And smoking, right? Because of smoking, the HDL level, that means good cholesterol level. What do you mean by good cholesterol level? The cholesterol is a linear component of every single cell in the body. So the cholesterol has to be there. Okay, the good cholesterol has to be there. That HDL level decreases. Decreases when you smoke, right? So that's why, like, you know, in general, like smoking is unhealthier than drinking, right? I'm not asking you to drink. It's a different story. If you drink, that's up to you. But I'm suggesting is, so smoking is unhealthier than drinking, right? Okay, right. Well, this HDL, LDL, and there's so HDL high density and LDL low density and VLDL very low density, right? So all these three are lipoproteins, right? Lipoproteins. That means this lipid protein combination is just this lipoproteins, right? So HDL, that is good. LDL, bad. And very low density also is there. So that is also not good. We'll go over that as well. Right. Well, so for the formation of this, what is happening is lipids and protein combination should be there. So for the lipoproteins to be formed, lipids and proteins, this is happening inside the blood. Right? In the bloodstream only we have these now. So in the blood, lipids are attracted to the proteins. Right. So then the lipoproteins are going to be formed. These lipoproteins, depending on the type of the lipoprotein, their properties are different, and the purposes, basically the applications inside the body, also going to be different. Simply different types of lipoproteins are having different types of functions, actions in the body. HDL. That is a high density one. That is a good one. You know, the cholesterol, there is a level. Every single cell in the body has cholesterol, and it has functions and it has reasons to be there. But if you have too much of cholesterol in a cell, that is going to be a problem. Well, the HDL, what does it do? The HDL takes that extra cholesterol into the liver again. Right? Then inside the cells, cholesterol is not going to be accumulated. It is taking the cholesterol back into the liver. Problem solved. Then liver, we know that liver is the organ which is removing the unnecessary stuff from the body. right? So liver, that removes cholesterol from the body. Okay, right. LDL, low density lipoprotein, bad cholesterol. Now this is the one which is making that paste kind uh, material in the arteries to block the arteries. The other one is very low density lipoproteins, VLDL. Those are the bad ones. Then very low density ones also, they combine with the other substances in the blood and they make that paste, right? So that is also going to behave in the same fashion as low density ones. So then only HDL is good, rest of the things are bad, right? Right. Well, now the worst part about cholesterol is this. Now, when it comes to like, let's say, high blood sugar, low blood sugar, right? So all those cases, there are related symptoms. Still, having cholesterol, that is not a bit of good name, right? Cholesterol. I remember one example. Uh, yeah, that person, like he went for a body checkup and cholesterol was checked. The age was, I think, around, I guess, around 40s. Oh, it's raining. That's nice. To know this heat is like it's difficult to tolerate. Well, what I was talking about was, yeah. So then he actually didn't have any intention to take cholesterol, but finally like take. And the doctor asked, like me, well, all the zero to make me talent bad. It's a cholesterol high. I'm going to take a cholesterol high, not a symptom enough way. You can say it. I can then make it. And the pressure level are possibly here in India. Persadunan kasus dia menunjuk dia sugar dia ada cholesterol. Dan itu symptom merah. Right. So we have to do a test, a blood test. I using blood test only we can figure it out. Right. Then we go for the blood test and we take the cholesterol range and we check whether we like it in the correct range. Then we figure out high cholesterol level. That's how we recognize. Well, and also, so the cholesterol level that depends on the age, right? Risk factors. One of the risk factors can basically කෑම බීම. හරිද? අන්නේ මාර ජංක් ෆුඩ් නම් ඉතින් ඒක ගැන අහන්න දෙයක් නැහැ, කතා කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඈ දෙන්න බර්ගර් හදවලට තව මොකක්ද තව ආන්සර් තව මොකක්ද ඕක නම් ෆුඩ් හැබිට් අනිවාර්යෙන් ඉතින් that those are very high risk factors. ඒක හරියට කන්නකොට තේරෙන්න ඕනේ. අර දැන් ඔය දැන් වගේ දුමි මේවා deep fry කරනවා. So it's ඒ අඳන තේල් කියන්නේ ඔය තේල් මාර කාලයක් යූස් කරනවා. ඒක මම දන්නේ කියලා අපි පෙට්‍රල් ඩීසල් යන කාලයක් තිබ්බේ. යෝඩාල් කාලේ. ඒකකොට ඕල් දෙල්ලදී මම බයෝ ඩීසල් හැදුවා මගේ ජීවිතේ. ක්ලාස් එකක කියන්නේ ඔන්ලයින් සක්සස්ෆුල් නෑ. ඊට පස්සේ මම බයෝ ඩීසල් හැදුවා. ඒකට ඕල් දෙල් ගණන්නේ කාලේ ඕල් දෙල් තුනක්. ඒකට ඔය දැන් අර පොටේස් වලින් අයින් කරන තේ ගන්න ට්‍රයි කරනවා. ඒ බයෝ ඩීසල් ගන්නේ ඕල් දෙල්ුයි sodium hydroxide. ඒක අතර හાર્ඩ්වෙයාර් එකේ. ඊට පස්සේ මෙතනෝල්. ඒක පෙටාවල් තියෙනවා. ඒක තමයි ingredients. ඒක දාලා බයෝ ඩීසල් හදන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ බයෝ ඩීසල් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් normal diesel ඩීප්ලයින් යනකොට වැඩි කිලෝමීටර් එකක් යාගන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඒ ඩීසල් වල තියෙන C10 value එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ C10 value එක හොඳ high value එකක් තියෙනවා බයෝ ඩීසල්. ඒක පොල් දෙක. අපිට දැන් මේ අර පාවිච්චි කරන මාළු දෙක හදන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට දැන් ওই තෙල් හොයන්න දැන් ලීටරයක් දෙකක් හදාගන්න බෑනේ. ලොකු ප්‍රමාණයක් හදාගන්න ඕනේ. I was searching for coconut oil. In the sense like since the original one is really expensive. මේ අර use කරපු ඒව. hotels වලින් මේ industry එකෙන් ඒවල් මේ star class hotels හරි ඊපතින් බැලලා අයින් කරන තෙල් ඊට වඩා මේ star ගානින් අඩු hotels වලට විකුණනවා. හරිද? 5 star වලින් 4 star කොහොම? ඊට පස්සේ ඒ වගේ බැලලා මේගොල්ලෝ තෙල් ටික ඊට වඩා star ගානින් අඩු මේ hotels වලට විකුණනවා. තෙල් පොල් තෙල්. හරිද? මේ මාර්ග බෙදලා අයින් කරන තෙල්. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ මොනවා හරි ස්ටා එකක් වගේ තියෙන හොටෙල්ස් වලින් ඉපොනේ නිකන් බාහිර කඩවල හොටෙල්ස් වලට ගන්නවා ඒ දෙන්න. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ කඩවල වල තෙල් දැන් ඔය හැමකෙම චෙක් කරා තෙල් ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ඒක දෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ විකුණනවා අර ඩීලර්ස් අරගෙන මේ. ඊට පස්සේ දැන් නිකන් ඔය තියෙන ෆයින් පාරයින් තියෙන හොටෙල්ස් තියෙනවා අපි කන්නේ. ඕනේ තෙල්. උඹ පුරන්නේ නැහැ. ඊව විකුණනවා මේ අර මේ පාරයින් තරත් ඒවත්. හරි ඊට පස්සේ උන් ගෙනුත් තකුවා. ඒ වගේ විකුණන්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ බැදලා ඉවර වෙලා අන්තිමට රෝඩ් එක වෙනවා අද බදිනවා. ඒක තමයි මේක දෙකේ ආවයි. ඒකත් බදිනවා. ඒක ඉවර වෙනවා. ඒ අන්තිමට ඉතුරු වෙන ටික පිටර වෙලා තියෙන අර මාන්දි වගේ කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒක දාන විපවක්. හරි ඒ ඉතින් එතකොට මේ වගේ විතරන දැන් කොච්චර වාර ගන්න මේක පාවිච්චි කරලා හොටෙල් 100ක් කරා ස්ටාර් කීයක් කරා ඇවිල්ලා 5 star 4 star ඕම ඇවිල්ලා ස්ටාර් එකක්වත් නැතුව ඊට පස්සේ නිකම්ම අර වඩේ කරත්තේ ගාවට මෙනකම් මාස කීයක් මේකින් බැදලා. ඔහොම එකක් මම දැනන් හිටියේ නෑ බයෝ ඩීසල් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකට එන. ඊට පස්සේ බයෝ ඩීසල් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක සාර්ථක වුණා නම් මගේ වැඩේ ඒකට දැන් පොතේ නෑ එකක්. ඒ නිසා ඒ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක අවසන් මේ ඔන්න ඔකයි තෙල් වලට. ඒකන ඩීප් ෆ්‍රයි කරපු ඔය අරෝමේ හද්දී මේ දෙපාරක් නෙමෙයි කීප සැරයක් හිටා. හරිද? එතන ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා ලංකාවේ ඕවට රෙගියුලේෂන්ස් නැහැ. ඒවා චෙක් කරන්න තැනුත් නැහැ. මොනිටර් කරන්න තැනුත් නැහැ. ඒකෙදි ඒ ඔය හදාගෙන තියෙන සිස්ටම්ස් මේ අවුරුදු 60ක් පුරාවට හදාගත්ත සිස්ටම් තියෙන්නේ. ඒවා මේ එක තරේකින් වෙනස් වෙන ඒවා නෙමෙයි. ඔන්නෝම් තියෙන්නේ. ඒකෝට දැන් ඒව තමයි ඔය හයි රිස්ක් කියන ඒවා. ඒකට සමහරවිට ගන්න වෙනවා. වෙන විකල්පයක් නැහැ. හරිද? මේ නමුත් අර මේකක් තියෙනවා. දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඔය තෙල් ස්ටාර් ක්ලාස් ඔක්කොම ටික පහු කරන්න ඇවිල්ලා තමයි මේ ඔය අපි ගන්න වැඩේ කරත්තර එනකොට තෙල් ටික ඉන්නේ. ඒ ඔක්කොම බැදලා. මොකද ඒ 5 ස්ටාර් වල ඒක බදින වාර ගන්න. ඒගොල්ලෝ ටික වාරයකින් ඉවර වෙන්නේ නැහැ. තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ බදින වාර ගන්න. ඊට පස්සේ මේ අන්තිමේදී වෙනකොට මණ්ඩි කියන concept එකට එනකම බදින. ඒක නිහඬ තෙල් කියන එකක් නෙමෙයි ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ. අර පිටි මික්ස් වෙච්ච අර වඩේ වල පරිපූර්ණ මික්ස් වෙච්ච ඒ පේස්ට් එකක් දාන්න එනකම බදින. ඊට පස්සේ ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ ඇයි? ඒක වක්ත කරන්න තමයි. ඒක තමයි. This is why we have this huge problem cholesterol. Unknowingly, we continue eating very unhealthy stuff. That is the problem. If I didn't do that project, I also wouldn't have noticed that coconut oil has such a mafia in the industry. I couldn't buy that at all. That's the problem. ඊට පස්සේ කොහොම හරි අන්තිමේදී මගේ ක්ලාසස් වල ළමයි ක්ලාස් එනකොට අර ගෙදර මාළු බෙදලා ඉතුරු ගෙදර ඔය තාලෙට මාළු බදින්නේ නැහැ නේ. යම් පාර ගන්න බලලා එක්සි කරනවානේ. ඒ ඉතුරු වෙන පෙර බෝතලෙක දාගෙන ළමයි එනවා ක්ලාස්. තමයි අපි ගෙදර අපි ඊට පස්සේ අර උඩට යොත් හදලා ඉතින් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක පොඩි ක්ලාස් එකයි. එහෙම බයෝඩීසල් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් ගියා ඒ දවස්වල. Right. Anyway, my point is, so the cholesterol level, these are the factors. ඒකට කොච්චර කාලයකට අපි මේ පාර ගන්නත් අපි cholesterol test එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ නැද්ද කියලා decide කරන්න ඕනේ. අපේ age එක, ඊට පස්සේ අපි කෑම habits, family history, ඒවත් ඒක පොඩි කියන්නේ metering ඉන්න ඕනේ. Simply. Right. Right. So age 20 or older. 20 or older. Every 5 years. And the family history එකක් තියෙනවා. ඊට කලින් දැක්ක කොට. හරිද? ඊට පස්සේ 45, 65, 55, 65 range in length every 1 to 2 years. And there's no connected කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ තමන්ගේ කෑම ඔය මම කතා කරපු ඒවා ටිකත් එක්ක බලන්න යන්නයිස් කරලා මොකක්ද කියලා. අන්නේ කියලා. කෑම ගැන එච්චර පැහැදීමක් නැත්නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් cholesterol get කරනවා. It's a nice control. That's it. Well, phospholipids. It's another version. This is almost similar to triglycerides, which you know. Triglycerides. One thing is, in this case, only 2 fatty acid molecules in and a choline molecule. A choline means it's something like something similar to vitamin D. Don't worry about that because our next lesson is vitamins, right? Phospholipids we can find in lecithin, egg yolk, sea beans, soybeans, and peanuts. Okay, right. So, for what we are using phospholipids? Right. When it comes to cells, we find phospholipids in cell membrane. Right, in cell membrane. And also, remember, phospholipids is something that we don't have to take from food. Just like cholesterol, that is also can be made by the liver. Right, the body can make it. So we don't have to take it from outside. Right. I was talking about that cell membrane thing. Right. So this is that. This side is outside the cell, and this is inside the cell. We have. So this is the glycerol side, and this I said that 2 acid molecules are there. In the triglyceride, we have 1 glycerol molecule and 3 fatty acids. But in phospholipids, we have triglycerides are realized as glycerol molecule and two fatty acids. So in the cell membrane, this is the cell membrane, outside, inside. This is the outer margin, this is the inner margin. In outer margin, right, okay, those fatty acid molecules, those two molecules are like this. That's like this tails, right? And so this is like heads, so head and tail, head and two tails. That is the structure. So this is the structure of the cell membrane. Our animal cells, right? Cell membrane is like this. So it is phospholipid lipids which is used. Right. Another one, sterols. Sterol. In sterols, we have carbon ring. What do you mean by carbon ring? Not just a straight chain of carbon. Ring structure, right? You can see these several hexagon structures are there. The aluminose is there, cholesterol, and this vitamin D3, right? Hexagon structure is there. Double bonds are there, right? Sterols are like this. Sterols. Speaking of the functions, six hormones like testosterone and vitamin D, bile, adrenaline hormones, cortisol. So we will be talking about, we have a separate list for hormones, right? Uh, Cholesterol, we talked about that, right? So these are the imports of sterols. Right. Just have a look at this chart. Right. Now, after we eat, for us to get energy, obviously it has to be digestion, right? So fat digestion, we know that for us to make a fat, we need glycerol molecule and 3 fatty acids. So then those are the building blocks for the fats. In digestion, opposite. In digestion, opposite. Digestion, of course, it's always a reaction with water, which is why we, in the previous lecture also we were talking about that. Water has to be there for us to digest. Yeah, that is digestion. Right. So, what is happening? We supply water. Breaking a bond by splitting a water molecule is what we call hydrolysis. Okay. Breaking a bond by splitting a water molecule is what we call hydrolysis. So hydrolysis is the reaction that is happening in any type of a digestion process. Fat digestion also is the same process, same story. Well, so this triglyceride, that is a fat, that is going to be digested into the components, fatty acids and glycerol. This is what is exactly happening in hydrolysis process. Now look at this reaction. Right. Now here, this is, now you see this is a glycerol part, the free fatty acids part, and this is the bond which was formed from the reaction between glycerol and fatty acids. We need water molecules, and what is happening? HO bond is broken, and this CO bond, right? Each CO bond is broken. All right. Right. So that is how this process is happening. Now here you see what has happened here. Right. The top and bottom two bonds are broken. That also can be broken. No problem. So I have shown here the top and bottom two bonds are broken. Right. Then a fatty acid molecule comes. Another fatty acid molecule comes. The middle part is remaining. So basically the molecule has been broken into 3 pieces. Agreed? This big molecule has been broken into 3 pieces. So this is what is happening in hydrolysis process. Right. So then these are like simpler molecules. Then the simpler molecules can be further processed to produce ATP, right, in cellular respiration. Right. Fat digestion, that is happening in mouth and stomach both. I stop training. Wait for a minute. Starting from mouth. Then after that, digestion is happening in stomach. And that is going to be continued in small intestine. Those are the stages. Okay. In digestion, I'm giving you a fact. This one. So write the complete hydrolysis reaction for this. You can have a look at this. This is partial hydrolysis. I wrote only 2 fatty acid molecules. I'm asking you to write the reaction for the complete hydrolysis of that fact. ඒක නෙගටිව් කරන්නේ. ඒක. හරියට හරි. බොන්ඩ් එක හදන්න කොහොමද එක? මෙන්න බොන්ඩ් එක කැවෙන තැන. right. එතකොට මේ හැදෙන්නේ කොනේ තියෙන කාබන් එක නෙමෙයි ඊගවට තියෙන ඔක්සිජන් එක. ඒ ඔක්සිජන් එක C ඩබල් බොන්ඩ් ඕ කාබන් එක සෙට් වෙලා තියෙන බොන්ඩ් එකෙන් තමයි හැදෙන්නේ. මොකක්ද ඒ හැදෙන බොන්ඩ් එක? මෙන්න මේ. හරි නේද? water molecule එක. එතකොට water molecule එකත් දෙක ගැන. H එකයි OH එකයි. හරිද? ඒ කැඩෙන H එක යනවා මේකට. ඒ කැඩෙන OH එක යනවා මේ. හරිද?
පරණ කාර්බොක්සිලික් එකක් කරනවා.
හරියට. ඒ කියන්නේ පැහැදිලිකටත් ඒ වැඩිම වෙනවා. complete hydrolysis. ඒ දැන් උඩේ එකට යට එකටයි වෙන පැඩේ එකක් වගේ දිගට මේකට හරි. ඔය ගොල්ලේද? Yes, yes. Digestion. හරියට chamber නෑ හරි. තමයි. Yes. Is born. හරිද? or need help. මේ කැලේ ලිප් එක දෙන්න නැතුමයි ඉන්නේ දෙපේ අරගෙන තියෙනවා නේද හවක් inside sorry it's ready for Right, okay. Hope you would have tried. Very simple. Like you saw there, I went back to the previous slide so that you can easily do this. This bond is broken. This red arrow ones, those are broken. And water molecule also is broken. What happens is, right, from the water molecule, right, H goes to this place, OH goes to this place. All right. Then since we have three bonds, so I said complete hydrolysis. That means all the three bonds should be broken. Well, then CH2, CH, CH2, O, O, C double bond O, CH2, CH3. There are three of them. For breaking one bond, we need one water molecule. There I'm breaking two bonds, top one and bottom one. We need two water molecules. Complete hydrolysis means we are breaking all the three. Then we need three water molecules. Clear? We need three water molecules. It's broken from here now. So CH2, CH, CH2 linked. And H comes here, so O becomes OH. One molecule. Understood? හරිද? අනිත් පැත්ත. Plus. මේ පැත්ත OH වෙනවා. C double bond O. CH2, CH3. එතකොට ඒක මෙතනත් කැඩෙනවා, මෙතනත් කැඩෙනවා, මෙතනත් කැඩෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ જાති ඒවා තුනක් හැදෙනවා. අතන දෙකයි නේද මෙයා? Right. Right. This is the complete hydrolysis. This is the complete digestion of this fat. Okay. So fat digestion is happening, starting from mouth, continues in stomach, and then continues in the small intestine. And this is that is the chemistry side of that. Then this is how this diagram shows like how it is happening. Now, when it comes to the now this diagram, maybe it doesn't make sense to you. Let me explain. So what is happening is, fat is something which is not soluble in water. Fat particularly in but enzymes do. But the enzymes can't do the digestion since fat is not water soluble. Then what happens is bile. First, bile combines with fat, right? Then, then enzymes can combine. Right? So the first step, like okay, nothing is happening, right? Then bile involves here, that combines with fat, right? Okay, now this is fat bile combination. Now enzymes involved. All right, right. So this is something that is happening. Just like they say this combination is like not normally happening, which is why this bile involves. Let's say, as an example, you need to communicate with someone who speaks Chinese only, right? As an example. So then you need to find someone who knows our language and Chinese both, right? So bile is doing that. So bile can combine with fat, right? Then enzymes can be involved, something like that. Right. Well, when it comes to fatty acids, we know there are fatty acids. Now we know the term, this medical term, essential and non-essential by now. Fatty acids also we have essential ones and unessential ones. So non-essential we already know, right? So the body can make. Essential, body can't make. We have to take. So omega-3, omega-6, right? So those are the most common ones. You might have maybe heard about omega-3, omega-6 there in terms of supplements, right? Pharmacy every available we definitely have to take it from outside. If we don't eat stuff which contains omega-3, omega-6, definitely we have to depend on supplements. Those are the essential fatty acids. Right. So if we take from natural sources, omega-6 and omega-3, so those are the ones. Right. So fat, we talked about all the chemical side of fats. Right. Speaking of the role of fat in the body, basically it provides a huge amount of energy for us. Right. 9 kilocalorie from a gram. Right. Right. And also, so that is going to be 60% of the energy demand of the body. So huge amount. Right. And fat is going to be stored in adipose tissues and insulation and protection. Insulation. If you have fat, like if you tolerate the cold temperatures, very well, practically so, right? And if you are thin, like it's difficult for us to survive at the low temperatures, right? So insulation and protection also. Protection, like we get less damages when we have a good fat layer, right? A similar fat layer. Protection. And another thing, our next lesson is going to be vitamins. When it comes to vitamins, there are vitamins, water soluble vitamins and water insoluble. So water soluble vitamins, right? So vitamin B and also water soluble. So water soluble vitamins like so they okay, so we have no problem. But there are fat soluble vitamins. Then to carry fat soluble vitamins, we need fats, right? Because they do not dissolve in water. Right. These things are general things which are familiar with. Okay. So the problems, the major problem is, obesity, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, right? So those are the health issues, the negative health issues that we have because of fats and cholesterol. That also we know the high level of cholesterol, LDL. Well, when it comes to health issues, we have health issues from trans fats and from cholesterol and from saturated fats. That's the end of the story. Okay. Anything which is not clear about fats and oils, lipids? All understood? Yes.